there's going to be lots of theories about Targaryens and Snows and people like that sitting on the throne. But it's the manner of how we get there. That's the important thing for me. I think, and I really, really want Varys to play a really big part in the end. So it has to look like it's going to be a happy ending. Dany and Jon have to survive up until the very end. And then Varys has to realise what he said all along is that Dany isn't necessarily the best person for the job. Not when Jon Snow's around, not when he knows that he is a Targaryen. So basically, it looks like Dany's going to take her place on the throne. Varys kills her, poisons her probably, because it's the kind of thing that he would do because he wants Jon Snow on the throne, and that's the best for the realm, which is the whole thread all the way through.
What's your final shot?
I mean, Varys would die as well, because Melisandre didn't get that much right in Game of Thrones, but I think she got her prediction about him dying right. I think Jon would probably kill him. And Varys would probably go down saying this was best for the realm as well. So the final shot, I think Jon Snow will end up on the throne. And I'm okay with that as well, as long as some really bad stuff goes down before then and everybody's really sad for a while. Because Tormund is going to die, and I don't want anybody else to have any enjoyment.
That's bad.
I know.
Hi, you don't know me. I'm a wrestling dork. But I'm a very casual Game of Thrones guy. I can't remember half the characters' names. I'm sure you appreciate my input on this. But in a very cheeky ending that would rob everything of its dramatic heft, could they not just hide some Valyrian Steel in the throne and beckon the Night King onto it? Is it like a head vampire situation?
We think so.
We think so, and then they all die when he dies?
Because he sits on a thumbtack, essentially,
of... a metaphorical whoopee cushion made of Valyrian Steel.
Valyrian spell.
Yes. I mean, I'm only saying this because when it happens, I can get gift all over the place and have some kind of online notoriety.
Fair. Cool.
But it could happen.
This weird thing is, it could happen.
It's stupidly plausible, and if I know one thing from grand prestige television finales, is that the vast majority of them aren't very good.
Thanks, Michael.
No problem.
Right, they've said all the way through like the filming, the books, everything that's ever related to the ending, whether you've asked like the production staff, George R.R. Martin, anybody, right? They've always said it's a bitter-sweet ending in that it is happy, but it is also immensely, immensely sad. And the whole way through watching the show, because I started like around about like season 6, I caught all the way up. And so that was kind of like out there. By that point, the ending's bittersweet. So I was watching the whole way through being like, I don't get your bittersweet ending. I don't really see how there's any good in this. I don't get to see how you could have anything that's kind of got that tinge of like happiness, but also like immense, oh, isn't it sad as well? I've never quite got that right until the moment that they cut to Dan. I always keep calling them Dan and Johnny. Jon and Dany, right? Making the beast with two backs in the middle of that boat, right? And as soon as they did that, I was like, I've got it. Because this is the first like genuinely pure bit of romance they've had between two major characters who are both good people, fundamentally, right? And the only way you get a bittersweet ending is if they do not end up together, but in a way they win. So, hear me out. This is what happened. He slung one right up her. She is now with child, right? Good. And their whole plan is, because she wants to break the wheel, he wants peace and all this. So the whole idea is, look, we fight these battles. We beat the big goth Iceman. We beat Cersei. And we will sit on the throne and we'll finally rule this thing as a as like a democracy. They'll bring in democracy or something like that. They'll break the wheel, as they keep saying. And it looks for all the world like they're going to do that. They're going to have their kid and they're going to raise this child to be the first like true like ruler of whatever. And what happens is Jon's fine with this because he gets to be the military man, you know what I mean? And she gets to be the ruler, and it's perfect for them both. And she dies right after she gives birth to the kid. She dies, right? Okay. So Jon realizes that he has to now be the king that he never wanted to be, so he can raise the child they had together up to be the proper ruler. And that's why it's bittersweet, because he does not want to sit on that throne. He wants her to do it, but he will do it if he has to. Like the whole way through Jon Snow's story, right? He has never, ever, ever, ever chased power. He's the only one who gets it given to him. And it's the whole thing about Jon Snow is that like, he's the only person truly worthy, being worthy of being like King of the North when he was like in charge of like the Night's Watch and that. He's never ever sought like leadership or power or anything like that. He's always deferred to other people, but he always keeps getting given it because he's like deserving of it. And I think it's going to end with him sat on the Iron Throne, really bummed out because his lass is dead and he's got this horrible little dragon brat running around all over the place. He's got to raise on his own. So single parent Jon Snow, that's how it ends for me. And that, I think, fits with that Azor Ahai theory somehow as well. I don't know.
Well, him being alive is, yeah, good.
I think maybe he has to kill her. That's the real twist. Something's up. He's like, gotta kill her. I don't know. Maybe she's, I don't know. We'll find out, won't we?
Right, so basically everyone's got all these mad theories about dragons and wargs and all this other nerd fanny nonsense. I'm here to tell you that the real reason the Night King is so pissed off is very, very simple. He is in a very toxic relationship with an absolute nightmare of a wife. What it is, he is sick, fed up of coming in after a hard day's work, freezing stuff, being emo, doing goth things up north. He is sick, fed up of coming home, sitting down on the couch, popping open a wee beer and hearing, Frank, that's his name, Frank Night King. Frank, can you take the beers out? For God's sake, Mavis. He gets this night after night after night until one day, Frank Night King decides, I've had enough of this, gets up, gets his coat. Mavis goes, Frank, where you going? He goes, I'm going to see the Cold Boys. So, him and the Cold Boys go on a mad lads road trip all the way through the north. The wildlings, they're in the way. They just get caught up in the whole thing. It's just this terrible storm of violence. It all gets blown way out of proportion. They get through the wall, they've broken that down, they've got the ice dragon, all this stuff. And then they finally get to the middle of Middle-earth. We're not in Middle-earth, we're in Westeros.
Well,
They finally get there, it's the final battle. And then him and Jaime Lannister, who, lest we forget at the end of season 7, left his nightmare of a relationship to go on a mad lads road trip up north. They come to an understanding. You too? Aw, man, this whole thing could have been avoided. Cue, closing shot, the sesh.
Your final shot is a hug.
No, mate, it's a sesh.
Full on sesh.
Can of big tea, going mental, Cold Boys, living boys, beautiful. Mavis, don't care about her, she's gone.
So the thing is, right, I've kind of had this theory since the beginning, because if you look at G.R.R. Martin's, the way he writes the characters, very improvisational, it's very just think about what headspace they're in and just kind of go forward with stuff. So I don't, as much as I want to believe that he's had this massive grand plan, like my favorite show Lost, I don't think he's really planned don't roll your eyes. I don't think he's planned every single bit of this out. I think he was just going to sort of, figure it out as he went, hence why the final book has taken so long, and how he's just kind of, let D.B. Weiss and Other Man finish it off himself. So, for me, I don't think that I think the ending is going to be this giant comment on the pursuit of power, the lust for power, because if you rewatch the seasons, which I've been doing in prep for this, if you really drill down their motivations, like some of them, like obviously some people are like personally invested in different things. The rest of it, it's just the pursuit of power, like trying to get land, trying to get status, all that kind of thing. So I think if his ultimate message is this anti-war, why can't we all just be satisfied with what we have? It's the journey the friends we made along the way type jazz. Then my theory, which is nearly always been, is that there's one big old final battle at the end, scratch that itch, satisfy everybody, have a big old fight, everyone wipes each other out, and one final foot soldier is the only person who crawls through the rubble and the wreckage in the middle of the Iron Throne, that big old room, crawls over the bodies and just touches the throne at the end, and that's the final shot. That someone touched, what does it even mean to get that throne? And the person who is quote unquote the least deserving or whatever, the person we've least followed the whole way through it, finally gets to be there, and that's what you end on. So is it really worth it? I don't even know, and I think that's the question he'll pose to everybody at the very end, considering how long it's all gone on and how much we've seen unfold.
It's surprisingly quite difficult to guess how Game of Thrones is going to end. There's so many different people that you can picture ending up on the Iron Throne. There's so many different storylines that need to be wrapped up in 6 episodes? I have absolutely no idea. But my prediction involves someone you may not expect. Everyone's talking about Jon Snow or Daenerys or Cersei. I bet you bloody love Cersei to be on the Iron Throne at the end. But it's a character we've all forgotten about that I think is going to save us all. You see, we're all scared about what the White Walkers are going to do, but Pod has got a magic penis, Adam Cleary, and for that reason, he's going to shag the Night King, cure everything, they're all going to be fine, and Pod and his magic penis are going to be on the Iron Throne at the end.
Well, I keep going back and forth on this because there's so many theories, but the one thing George R. R. Martin's always said, or he's confirmed it'll be, is bittersweet, which means it has to be a bit happy, a bit sad. So it can't just be everyone dies. So I think the Night King will be defeated in episode 5, the penultimate episode, and then we'll have the finale where it's kind of tying everything up, dealing with all those loose ends, dealing with the humanity, deal with Cersei, and then it'll come down to, we'll have Jon and Daenerys. I don't think it's going to be a case of will Jon get the throne, will Daenerys get the throne. I think it's going to be a bit broader than that, but also I don't think the throne's going to matter as much, because I think it'll be a kind of case where the Seven Kingdoms are maybe restored as they were before Aegon kind of conquered. So you'll have, say, a Stark ruling in the north, Gendry ruling from Storm's End, that kind of thing. I also think Daenerys will be pregnant at this point, and I think she'll start obviously with Jon's child, and I then think she's going to give birth and die, which is horrible thing to say, and I'm sorry for that, but the idea is Jon Snow and Daenerys are linked by the fact that both of their mothers died giving birth to them, and Tyrion's as well, and Game of Thrones is all about things coming full circle, history repeating itself. So Daenerys has this child who is the Song of Ice and Fire, so the product of two very strong claimants to the throne. So that person would then be, even though that Iron Throne doesn't matter, they would effectively be the heir to whatever is left. And I think, so Jon's kind of going to become the de facto ruler, but not in a sense of like Aegon Targaryen, the Conqueror, more overseeing the devolved Westeros, with the child as kind of the future. So it's really sad because most people have died. You know, Jaime's gone, Daenerys is gone. Most characters you care about are gone.
You think most of them will die?
I think most of them will die. I think you'll have like, some of the Starks will live. Maybe one of Arya's sons, and maybe both. Jon, Bran's going to be off doing something in a tree somewhere. I'd like to think Podrick will live, because like, you don't want Podrick to die, do they? Especially not Wilborn. But, and then Jon, because I think ultimately it's his story. So I think, yeah, it'll end on that kind of more of an intimate note, rather than you have the epic battles earlier on in the season, and then get to something a bit quieter. And then I really want the final shot, because I think you've got all this fighting, I think all the dragons will die. I think they kind of have to, because they've been there from the start as the things that will fight the White Walkers, and they're almost like linked in terms of how they come back into the world. I think if we have all the dragons die, and then the final shot of the show is just a dragon egg, just kind of cracking somewhere, and then leave it. And it's ambiguous, you can imagine what the future might be, there's hope, but there's also a lot of sadness. Yeah, that would be my ending.